One live.
Hey, I would like to call the City of Akron Housing Appeals Board December meeting to order. Board members, you received the minutes of our last meeting in the mail. Are there any changes, additions, corrections, or comments? If not, the minutes stand approved as mailed. Jody, how about our first case?
Okay, you want to go ahead and let Mr. Dunham in?
Yeah, I will as soon as Nina co-hosts me. Perfect.
We ready?
I think we should be. Mr. Dunham, can you hear us? You need to unmute yourself.
Got it.
Okay, we're about to start your case. It has to be announced now, so thank you.
Okay, new case 5840-262 South Portage Path. And that there has been minimal compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, fire damaged, tax delinquent, secured by the city, and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed. The exterior of the property was inspected on December 11th, 2020. I then did receive a call from the owner to schedule an interior inspection on Monday, December 14th. Repairs include the fire damage is mostly smoke damage. There are some
Jody, I just want to stop you. Do we have pictures?
Yes, I just have to share the screen. We also need to get sworn in before I proceed.
Mr. York, you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Dunham, if you could raise your right hand, and Ms. Forrester and Mr. Greger, the three of you, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
And for you, Jody, the testimony you already have given is the truth?
It is.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. York.
Okay. So like I said, most of the fire damage at this point is just smoke damage. There's some wall and ceiling damage in most of the rooms, missing light fixtures, damaged flooring, register vents, missing windows. The kitchen is gutted, missing bathroom sinks in the half bath and the full bath. Let's see, missing furnace and hot water tank, clean and seal the basement walls, missing plumbing lines, missing water meter, missing interior doorknobs. The roof over the front outlet needs to be replaced, missing gutters and downspouts, reinstall the front handrail, repair the siding, install the front storm door, and tuck point the foundation and obtain permits. On December 11th, when I was there, there was not a dumpster. When I did the inspection yesterday on December 14th, there was a dumpster out front that they had started to load.
Thank you. Who would like to talk to us about the property at 262 South Portage Path?
I can.
And your name and address for our record, please.
My name is Lee Dunham, and my address is 800 Independence, Akron, Ohio.
And what's your interest in the property?
I work for the owner. I work for his construction company, and I help with his TRD Capital, who's the owner of the property.
Okay, what would you like us to know about this property?
Well, first of all, the property was remodeled, and then the fire happened. And in the process of all that, Mr. DeWalt went through a divorce. So the property was tied up in litigation. We really couldn't do anything with it, not knowing where the property was going to go through the divorce. Since then, it's been his best effort to try and get this thing back sealed up, obviously closed up. We did order windows for the property, and by the time we got the windows installed, which it took about 3 months to get the windows in because of the delay with the pandemic.
Huh?
So by the time we got the windows installed, as you guys know, we experienced somebody vandalize the inside of the home. They busted more windows out. So our goal now is to secure the property, get everything cleaned out. We purchased a furnace and a hot water tank, which was stolen, along with a panel. And we actually did pull a permit to have the electric updated as that was needed to get started on any kind of projects over there. So we're aware it's a very large project, but we also are aware that he's put a lot of money into this property already. And just because of the divorce and the ongoing vandalism over there, which we have a police report to verify that, you know, we have been there, but we're going to do our due diligence now to be there every day and try and get this thing closed back up so it's not an eyesore.
Do you know what Mr. DeWalt's intentions are for this property if it is allowed to be brought back up to code?
I think at the point right now with him owning the property is just to get, you know, the delinquent taxes paid, which he's making an effort to do that, and he has the money to do it. And then he just wants to get the property back to, you know, a livable condition, and then he's going to make a determine, you know, if he wants to sell it or if he wants to rent it out.
Okay, he's not decided that yet.
No, I can ask him, but I know at one point, one of the things that we looked into doing was something with veterans, you know, maybe a house for veterans or something like that. He's looked at a couple different options, and like I said, the biggest thing with the property is that it was tied up in the litigation with his divorce. So he just, you know, and then on top of the vandalism that's ongoing over there. So we're trying to talk to the neighbors and secure the property and let them, we've given everybody our numbers, you know, explaining to them that it's going to be some time, but we're going to do everything we can to make it, you know, not an eyesore anymore. And it has a new roof on it. And now the first floor has all new windows and doors in it. So everything that's missing from the property has been stolen. It's not because of us, you know, neglecting. It's been vandalized and stuff's been stolen out of there.
I'm sorry, when was the divorce?
I think it was finalized in January, I want to say, but I'm not exactly sure.
Well, I guess a concern that I have, and I will let the other board members speak also, but I'm assuming that they might share my concern, is that he bought the property the beginning of 2018. We are nearing the beginning of 2021. He bought the property with orders on it at the time. So we might have expected that something would have been done much sooner than this.
I think a lot of that is also, I've been working for Mr. DeWalt going on a year now, and I know that a lot of the things that have transpired, he wasn't getting the stuff because he has an Ohio address, but he actually lives in Florida part-time. So I think that maybe that's why it's that the point of contact to him wasn't, you know, he wasn't getting these things readily available to him as they are now.
Well, if a property owner doesn't live in one of the contiguous counties to Summit, they need to have a representative who is local. So he also should have done that.
And that's what he does. Live in Summit County. He does have an address, and I mean he lives in Copley, Ohio. And as we go forward here with the proceedings or whatever needs to happen, I would like to be the point of contact so that I can, you know, rectify all these issues. And you know, the house does have a lot of good things, good, you know, good bones as a good property. And he's put, you know, money. It's got a brand new roof on it now. Like I said, it has new windows, and he has the money to bring it back. So the investment isn't the issue. It really just with us, it's getting the guys there to do the work.
Board members, questions?
I have a question, please. One of my
Go ahead.
questions is, and I don't know if this gentleman can answer it, but Jody, what have been the responses for the penalties that have been received since this person has owned the property? Has he made any contact with the office at all?
There has, the sanitarian Kathy Graves has had some contact with the owner of the property. I have, through the synopsis, that there's been 7 contacts over the time that she's been involved with it.
But nothing became of it, correct?
Correct.
And he has had administrative penalties assessed on this property.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Dunham, did you say that he has been in contact with the county regarding the back taxes?
I knew that was one of the things that after the divorce was finalized, that he was speaking to an attorney to get it, because he has several properties. That's not the only one. But yeah, it's on the list of things to do, is to get the back taxes paid, and any other penalties that would be assessed, he would want to get those taken care of, obviously sooner than later. And as you can see in the picture there, we pulled a permit for the electrical. I mean, that was all stolen. So we've updated the service, like I said, to try and get this thing back to, a living condition.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a little skeptical that after 3 years of not much compliance, to the point of having penalties assessed, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical that the work is going to get done all of a sudden.
I can attest to you that, we met at the property today. We're hiring an HVAC guy to install the furnace so that the work can begin there. And I guess at this point, the only thing I can say is that, we could ask for 30 days to, it's been 3 years, unfortunately, but at this point, if we were granted 30 days to say, hey, look, we're willing to back up what we're saying and get this thing done. I know now that I'm in, that was one of my jobs given, is to take care of this for him. So, I mean, we'd like to move forward with getting this thing remodeled.
Jody or Dwayne, do we know, does Mr. DeWald own other properties in Akron?
I can answer that. He does.
Are we familiar with Mr. DeWald?
I would have to pull up.
It would be TRD. It would be TRD Capital.
Yeah, I just have to stop sharing the screen to pull up.
The name doesn't set off alarm bells, though.
That's probably a good thing, right?
That's why I'm
I
asking.
can tell you how many active files we have in just one moment.
Yeah, my sounds off. Jody not registered.
I know he's not registered.
I hate to sound ignorant. What does that mean when you mean it's not registered or he's not registered? What would that mean?
Mr. Greger, do you want to explain that?
He's having a problem with his sound right now.
Okay, Jody, would you
Since
like
1996, yes. Since 1996, any property that you own in the city of Akron is required to be registered with our department. It's a yearly registration and it's $15 per unit.
Okay. So it's something that we could do.
It's something that you could do, but it's something that he, as a property owner, should have known and have done the last 3 years on all of the properties that he owns.
Right. So he's never been registered. The only active file that we have right now is for 262 South Portage Path.
That's a plus.
Thank you.
Jody, the other properties are not registered, though?
No.
Okay, thank you. Questions from other board members or comments or thoughts? Or a motion? Mr. Dobberton, if you're talking, you're muted. You're still muted.
Okay. What is the expected completion date?
I would think that if you're speaking in the interior, our goal is to remodel the outside and reside it also. So we were thinking 30 to 60 days on the inside, and hopefully within 90 days, we could have the whole thing completed.
And you say you already have new windows and doors installed on the first floor?
That is correct.
Thoughts from other board members?
I like you. Keep it moving.
Mr. Dunham, if the board were to allow an extension of 30 days, what could you get done?
30 days, we'd like to secure the property, get the electrical, the plumbing, and the furnace up and running, and be in the process of finishing the interior portion. We're looking within the next 2 weeks to get the windows in on the second floor. As we're trying to purchase those, at market right now instead of ordering them, which has been delayed. I mean, we are a construction company, so we're delayed upwards of 60 days sometimes to get windows. So we are in search now of finding windows that we can buy and put in the property to secure it on the top floor within the next 2 weeks, our goal. And then we're hoping by the end of the week to have the HVAC and the water plumbing part done so we can get the water turned on there to start the cleaning process and finishing the drywall portion.
Are the utilities on at the property?
The electric is.
So when you say in the 30 days you're going to get the electric done, does that mean you're going to finish the internal wiring?
That's correct, sir.
What is that? You said electric.
Yeah, we have a new service put in. So now we're going to start the process of running the actual interior portion, tying everything in to what's existing, what we can and what we can't replace.
Do I sense a motion?
Well, I would consider 30 days with those stipulations. You want to make, I'll make a motion. New case, and pardon my voice, new case 5840, the property at 262 South Portage. 1 second, damn it. I move that we grant the owner until the January meeting of the housing board to do the electric, plumbing, install the furnace and water, keep the property secure, free of debris, and schedule an interior inspection.
Good evening. Thank you, Danielle, for saving me.
Are you, I noticed you didn't, and that may be fine. You did not include the upstairs windows, which Mr. Dunham expected to be able to be done in the next couple of weeks. Was that intentional or?
No, it wasn't. I didn't hear that when he was giving his 30-day estimate. So I will add, in addition to that, complete the repair of all windows.
Mr. Dunham, before I ask for a second, is what was contained in the motion doable?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
Awesome.
If none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Mr. Dunham, you bought some time for Mr. DeWalt.
Okay.
Our meetings are always on the third Tuesday of the month, so the next hearing will be on the 19th of January.
Okay.
He will receive notice to contact me just like he did this time prior to the
Okay.
next meeting to schedule an inspection.
But
Okay,
Mr.
so-
Dunham,
Yes.
if you can keep in touch with Ms. Forrester, she could be your best friend in completing this and keeping it alive.
Awesome. She's very nice. I appreciate all of your guys' time and granting us this so we can get this thing done for us.
Good luck.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, now we need to let in the neighbor for 663 Russell Avenue, Mr. Starcher. Okay, Mr. Starcher, are you?
This is Nicole Boring. I'm calling on behalf of Mr. Starcher, but
Okay.
yes.
And you are a neighbor of the property?
Yes.
Do we expect Mr. Starcher to be joining us, or you're going to be representing him this evening?
I'm going to be representing him this evening. He got detained at work and wasn't able to make the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Jody, do you want to present?
She'll need to be sworn in.
Is it Nicole?
Yeah.
Nicole? Okay. I'm trying to find out if I can see you. Or you're just by phone with no video?
Yeah, I tried to use the Zoom meeting link that Alan had and it wouldn't work, so I just called via the phone number.
Okay. And what's your full name, Nicole?
It's Nicole Boring.
Boring?
Correct.
Okay. All right. What I'm going to ask you to do, Nicole, even though we can't see you, I'd like you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
New case 5841, 663 Russell Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. The owner's whereabouts are unknown. It is tax delinquent and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
Thank you. Okay, so the person that's wants to talk to us about the property at 663 Russell, we need your name and address for the record, please.
It's Nicole Boring, and the address that I reside at, it's 667 Russell Avenue.
Okay, and so what's your interest in this property?
So Mr. Starcher was actually looking into possibly buying the property at 663 Russell Avenue, but we weren't positive if we got the taxes caught up, if that would be possible to hold off on the demolition until we could get it back in shape.
Okay. So are you representing Mr. Starcher, or are you representing the recorded owner of the property?
So it's actually Mr. Starcher. The owner of the property is actually my uncle, who is currently terminally ill and was not even aware that the property was still in his name because he had signed the deed over to somebody else who never transferred it.
Okay. Is Mr. Starcher, has he seen the property?
Yes. He resides at 667 Russell Avenue as well. That is my fiance.
Okay.
Complicated situation. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I just need to get the players identified. So, Jody, we've had orders on this property for a long time.
Correct. We also, the garage had come before the Housing Appeals Board previously, and it was ordered demolished, but I believe the owner actually took care of the demolition.
I'm assuming we don't have any recent interior photographs. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Have we ever been inside?
Don't believe. Yeah. At some point, I guess the inspector, sanitary and supervisor John Gould had been inside.
We don't know how recently that was. Is that correct?
No, I don't see anything in the notes over the last couple of years showing the interior conditions.
And this may not be appropriate. Can Mr. Gould speak to this property at all?
He would just need to be sworn in.
Are you there, Mr. Gould?
You can't talk on your phone?
I talk on my phone, but I've been on my computer. I call it on my phone.
You can come over here. I'm going to let Mr. Gould use my camera to answer your questions.
Okay, I am here.
Okay. Mr. Gould, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
John, I know you didn't come to the meeting tonight, particularly to talk about this property, so I don't know how familiar you are with it or if you would have needed to bring yourself more up to speed with it. Do you remember 663 Russell?
Yes, I do.
Do you know when you
I've
were
had,
last?
I was inside in 2012.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yes. Because I condemned it in an inspection on May 24th, 2012. And then they were able to bring the interior up to code, and I lifted the condemnation after that. But that's
Right.
all, that happened a long time ago.
Yeah, and you haven't been inside since, correct?
No.
Do you have any recollection of what the interior was like? Well, you lifted the condemnation. You lifted the condemnation, so yeah.
Yes, I lifted the condemnation, so it had at least met the minimum requirements. They pretty much corrected everything that they were asked to correct at that time. And then it was condemned again for the utilities on November 25th of 2019. And I also want to say the exterior of the house has deteriorated a great deal based on the roof and everything. I'm not sure what the interior would even be like now because things were a lot different 8 years ago.
Yeah. The last contact you had with the owners, do you remember when that would have been?
Let me look in the file real quick.
Yeah, I'm kind of running through.
I can remember the owner telling me that, here he was. August 28th, 2019, I told him, I said there was no progress. The electric is off. I told the owner electric service is required. He said he was vacating. That was the last contact with the owner.
Well, he said that again in October of 2019. October 15th.
2019, there was no answer at the door, but dogs were inside.
I show my synopsis notes of October show re-inspected by sanitarian supervisor John Gould, showing no progress. Owner was present and stated that he was vacating the property. No electric. And then November, a re-inspection again showing no progress. Owner was present and stated he was vacating. No electric.
November 6th, I had a no progress, electric is still off, no dog barking.
Oh, my synopsis says owner was present, so that could be a mistake.
Okay.
And that looks like the last contact you had with the owners.
Yes. And then on December 10th, I had contact with the mother of the owner and the side door was secure, but the rear door was open. The mother of the owner pulled into the driveway. I told her back door needs to be secured. I told her I would extend 60 days, but action would be required to repair or sell the home to avoid HAB.
Okay.
And then I put it in for secure, but the contractor went out and found it secure, so they secured it.
Okay. Thanks, John. Board members' questions.
Future plans for the house.
Mr. Starcher wants to buy it.
Yeah, well, what does he want to do with it?
From what he had told me, he was looking to buy it and at least fix it up enough that we're able to sell it.
Okay, turn it over.
Miss Williams,
Yes,
could I ask a few questions?
you certainly may.
Okay.
If you would identify yourself, please. For the
Sure.
record.
Sure. This is John York, Assistant Director of Law with the City of Akron. Ms. Boring, you mentioned
Yes.
that, is it your uncle?
Yes,
You
my
mentioned-
uncle.
You mentioned that your uncle deeded the property to someone who then did not record the deed. Who is that? Who is that person that he deeded it to?
It was actually my father.
Okay. And why did your father not record the deed?
That I cannot attest to because I have no idea.
Okay. Has anybody talked to your father about whether he intends to record the deed?
I have not, but I have spoken with my uncle, and he stated that he would be willing to sign over a quick deed to Alan and myself so that we can get the taxes paid on it and get it out of his name.
Yeah, the problem is, and I can't give you legal advice, but just in general terms, when someone deeds a property to someone else, they don't own the property anymore, even if the deed's not recorded. Between those two people, ownership transfers. The reason you record the deed is to put everybody else in the world on notice. So I don't know that your uncle can be deeding the property to other people at this point. I mean, I don't know what the board's going to do with this property, but if they do grant time, one of the first things I think the whole group of people that are all involved here need to figure out is who owns the property. Because right now, Mr. Starcher is just an interested possible purchaser. So he's not really out anything at this point. What you really want to avoid is getting into a situation The fear here is, just from where I'm sitting, is that Mr. Starcher comes along, fixes the property, and then your father comes along and says, I own it now. And he got a windfall. So, those are some concerns that if you get time, you're going to want to figure that out real quick. Because I don't think the board's going to be given a lot of time if they give any time at all. But right now, we don't, it sounds like, it sounds like it may be owned by your father, but he just hasn't recorded the deed yet.
My father's actually the one that abandoned it. That's the one that Mr. Gold had spoke to was actually my father.
Right. But what you're saying is that your uncle deeded it to your father.
That's what I had been told by my grandmother.
Okay.
So is Michael your uncle or your father?
Michael is my uncle.
Okay. And they're the ones that we're showing as the recorded owner, correct?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
This is just a guess because obviously we have not been inside the property, or if we have, it has been a long time. But looking at the outside and listening to Mr. Gould's assessment from looking at the outside, and he has seen it frequently from the outside, I'm concerned that there could be a lot of damage on the inside, which is going to take considerable work to bring back into compliance, not saying it can't be done. My concern would be for Mr. Starcher, the amount of money that it would take and the time that it would take. Is he willing, if the board decides to grant any time at all, to sort this out? Does he have the resources to be able to do that?
At this time, we do. We just need to have the time to be able to get everything back in order.
Thoughts from board members?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is to Jody. Have you heard anything at all from Ms. Boring, or representing her uncle or anyone else during this time? Have they contacted the office with the notifications that they received?
No, no one has contacted us. I can tell you that the mail came back with a forwarding address to McRae, Helena, Georgia.
Do you know what that is?
Where my father vacated to.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear. Say that again.
My father moved to Georgia.
So he did receive it, correct?
That I don't know. I haven't spoken to him about it.
Jody, you're saying it came back, correct?
The regular mail came back with a forwarding address. That would lead me to make the assumption that the certified mail was forwarded to Georgia, and we just haven't got the card back yet. But it was also posted at the property.
I'd like to know, what is the father's name? Right now I've got the uncle's name, but he may not be the owner.
My father's name is Ron.
R-O-N?
Ron or Ron?
R-O-N. Ron, R-O-N.
No middle initial?
L.
Okay, board members, it's hard to tell the players without a scorecard here.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I'm confused.
One more question. Ms. Boring, do you have anything that is certified showing that you are, or your significant other or whomever has been an appointed person to handle any business concerning this property?
I do not. I actually, the only reason we knew about this meeting was because of the sign or the notice that was posted on the home, I believe at the beginning of December.
Nicole, do you know what your father's thoughts are regarding this property?
Last time I spoke with him, he said it was too much trouble. He was leaving and he was done with it. And
So
he
is assuming that he owns it, but was just walking away from it. Is that correct or not?
I can't speak for my father. I don't know exactly what he was thinking.
Okay.
Because he never, I'm not a mind reader, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But at some point in this process, I'm assuming he thought he owned the property, that he knew that your uncle deeded it to him.
Correct.
Okay. But he decided it was just more than he wanted to deal with, so he was walking away from it. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what I'm hearing.
That is what my assumption on the matter is.
Okay.
Wow. It would seem to me that even if he was contacted to do something with this, to do the legal work back and forth between Ohio and Georgia is going to be a lengthy process.
Right.
And don't even know if he wants to do the legal work.
Right.
Mr. York,
Yes.
I don't know why I'm even trying to figure this out. If Ron Boring is the current owner of the property, although the deed was not recorded, what would be would he need to record the deed before he sold the property to Mr. Starcher, if indeed that would be their wish?
I don't know for sure, but I suspect he would not, because like I said, you can transfer property to another person without recording it. So if he is, in fact, and I don't know because I haven't seen the deed or anything, but if he is the owner, he could theoretically deed it to another person by delivering the deed to that person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Looking at the house, I'm wondering if it's worth all this.
Can I look at the house one more time?
I'm sorry?
Can I look at the house one more time? Is there a picture we can look at again?
It's up.
I don't know if I see it on my phone. Oh, I found it. I found it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did Miss Jody, did Mr. Gould say there were issues with the roof?
That is correct. The main roof is extremely worn, and the rear porch roof is significantly deteriorated.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, what do we think?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make them. Okay.
Kathy, go ahead.
Okay, new case 5841-663 Russell Avenue. Whereas there has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, owner's whereabouts unknown, tax delinquent, not registered, and the deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move that the property be raised with all costs assessed.
Second.
Okay, the piece of the motion that I'm questioning is owner's whereabouts unknown. We happen to know where these folks are. I guess we're just not 100% sure which of them is the owner.
Well, if they're not responding.
No, actually, we know where Ron Boring is because he was the one that was residing at 663 Russell and moved to Georgia. We still don't know where Michael and Deborah Boring reside.
Okay.
So do I need to make a stipulation or anything, or?
No, so it would be correct that the owner's
It'd be-
whereabouts are unknown.
Okay, thank you, Jody.
Well, if Michael and Deborah are the owners.
Yeah, that's like a catch-22 right now.
If Ron is the owner, we do know where he is.
Okay,
According to county records, Michael is the owner.
right.
Because Ron didn't record the deed, but he doesn't have to.
For purposes of your consideration, Michael is the recorded owner.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, all the other stuff we're supposing, we're not sure. You know, well,
Okay,
we've
thank you.
heard, sure.
Then Kathy, you were correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Jody, would you explain, please, to Nicole what happens when a property is ordered raised?
Yes, when a property is ordered demolished by the Housing Appeals Board, we have to hold on to that file for 30 days to see if we receive an appeal of that order. If we do not receive an appeal, we then send the necessary paperwork to the demolition program. They then proceed to schedule the demolition of the structure.
Also, Nicole, if the property comes down, if there's not an appeal, the property comes down, the current owner still owns the land. The house will come down, but the current owner still owns the property.
Okay.
So you and your fiance might also want to take that into consideration if a lot in that area is something that you might want to consider. Just
Okay.
throwing that out there.
Well, thank you for letting me know that. That I was not aware of.
Hey, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Nicole.
You all have a wonderful night.
Yeah,
You
sorry
too.
you got stuck in the middle of this.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Everything happens.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. As far as I know, there is no one else waiting to sign in for any of the cases.
That is correct. There's no one else in the waiting room at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Greger. Okay, next case, Jody.
New case 5838, 580 East Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, the scene of police activity. It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
New case 5838 580 East Avenue. Whereas there has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, scene of police activity, tax delinquent, has been secured by the city and is not registered, and the deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move the property be raised with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? And we've had no contact with Ms. Holly, if I'm reading my synopsis correctly.
That is correct.
Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, new case 5839, 358 Lockwood Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, is in bankruptcy, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with cost assessed.
New case 58,
Go ahead.
new case 5839, 358 Lockwood Street, where there has been no compliance with housing orders against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, tax delinquent, secured by the city, in bankruptcy, not registered. The deterioration condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and I move we raise with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? I guess at least we have had some contact with Mr. Silkett. But it doesn't appear that he is.
He's
really wanting to do-
$22,000 tax delinquent.
So it's his understanding that he surrendered the property in bankruptcy.
And I see he tried to give it to the Summit County Land Bank, but they are not accepting it. So, okay. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
New case 5842, 132 West South Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. The owner's whereabouts are unknown. It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
New case 5842. May I make a motion, please?
Go ahead.
New case 5842, 132 West South Street. There has been no compliance with the housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. The owner's whereabouts are unknown. It is tax delinquent, secured by the city, and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and I move that this property be raised with all costs suitably assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
And the last case this evening is new case 5843, 783 Yale Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
New case 5843, 783 Yale Street, where there has been no compliance with housing orders against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, tax delinquent, secured by the city, not registered. The deterioration condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and I move we raise with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, our next meeting will be January 19th, 2020.